Speaking to Canvey Island manager Danny Heale following today's 1-1 draw against Lewes. Danny, not the greatest game. What do you make of it?
Yeah, no, we was obviously against the wind first half, and it was very strong, the wind. It was very hard to play, get out, and I thought we battled really hard, and we still created the most chances in the first half. But typical us, the way it's gone this season, they've had a 46th minute into the game. I think there's a minute extra to be played, and Jay Curran's won the ball right in front of the dugout, and he's won the ball, and then the ref's seen it differently, give him a free kick. But we've won the first header, and then obviously not cleared our lines, and the boys turned and scored like right on half time. So that was a bit disappointing for how well we done first half against the wind. And then second half, you think to yourself, oh, we're going to come out, we'll have the win, we'll have most of the possession, and we'll go on and win the game. But then they had one sent off, and it just seemed to knock us out of our stride, and we gave the ball away too cheaply. We didn't really create too much, so it was really disappointing how we reacted to the sending off. But we got the goal that we deserved. I thought it was still all us for second half, but it was just we're better than that, and it's a bit disappointing. But we're still 8 unbeaten, so you can't argue.
So especially the second half, struggled to create after they had a player sent off. Do you think we looked a little bit flat at times going forward?
Yeah, well, I said to them, they played Thursday night, Lewes, and in a cup game, and they won. And I said to them, as the game wears down, obviously they're going to get tired legs, and the space will open up. And especially when they went down to 10, I thought there was so much space out there, and we was having a touch, and the ball was bouncing off us, and we was giving the ball away, and balls overrunning people, ball going under people's feet, and it was really disappointing. But to be fair, they're a strong knitted group in there, and we've stuck together. We've got the goal, and Jonesy's got one as well when it was disallowed, and I just can't see how he's offside from there, because he's made a run from the edge of the box into the box, and he's nowhere near offside. But it's how we can't argue. A point's another point on the ball, but we're just disappointed in the performance. But for the last 7 games before that, we've played well in every game, so we'll knock it down to a bad day at the office. But we haven't been beaten. We'll take a draw and move on.
Bit annoyed to have conceded right before half time when we could have gone in at 0-0 and come out in the second half.
Yeah, like I said before, we dominated the half really. Obviously, the lad that come in goal for us today from Charlton, like, big thank you to them for how quickly they've done it for us, and he's come in and done really well, and kicks it well as well, especially in that wind, because it was really tough. Their goalkeeper struggled with it, but he was reaching the halfway line with it. But big thanks to John Batch as well for doing that for us today, because he drove all the way to Charlton yesterday to get him signed on, so fair play to him. But no, yeah, just a little bit disappointed would have had to concede in that late in the first half, but that's just the way it's gone for us lately. Like the last 2 games prior to this, I think we've had 3 draws now, and we conceded against Whittam in the 97th minute, and then obviously to Grays the other week in the 85th minute. So we've got to stop that and get out of our play. But so we've worked really hard on training this week on when we've got the ball, when we win the ball back, how well can we keep it, how well can we be patient and build the play up, and it never really happened for us today, so that's disappointing. But we've got to have 2 good training sessions this week and hopefully iron that out.
So shortly after the second half kicked off, Lewes had a player sent off. What did you make of that from your day? We were quite a long way from it. What did you make of it?
I really like the boy, Ryman. I think he's a good player. He's an handful. He's for a little lad. He gets up well, and he backs into people, and he keeps his foot in there, and makes it hard for defenders. So, but he jumped in on John Eastford, or Jones, I think it was, in the first half, and led with his elbow. And I thought that was a sending off then. And then the ref didn't book him or nothing. Then he got booked for nothing, arguing with the ref for a free kick, I think. And then second half, he's gone and done the same thing to Jonesy, and it was a straight red, and no qualms about it. But just wish we dealt with the situation a bit better once they went down to 10, but we never.
So you're a little bit frustrated that we didn't do more when we had so long with an extra man. You're a bit frustrated with that?
Yeah, not only. I just thought with the second half, with the conditions, with the wind, and I expected us to go and try and get an early goal and go on and win the game. And obviously, just for how poor our passing was and our movement was, which listen, 2 months ago I would have bit your arm off for a draw, because we was in a bit of a rut and couldn't get a result. But I'm disappointed now. But say our last 3 games, we've drawn 3 games in a row now, and really we should have had 2 wins and a draw, if I'm being honest. But it hasn't gone that way. But say we're still 8 unbeaten. We've proved that we're an hard side to beat, home and away. So I can't ask no more from the lads. They've put a shift in. They've been phenomenal over the last month or so, and we've had a bad day at the office second half here, and but that's life.
You brought on Kevin Dobinson, and the game seemed to change. We started creating again. How happy are you that he's come back and made that impact?
Yeah, we struggled. Dobbo struggles with his work commitments and that, and obviously he was a massive player for us at the start of the season, and he's still a class act, and he's good in the change room and that. But if he can start, but he hasn't played a competitive game for nearly like 7-8 weeks now, and he had 90 minutes or 70 minutes of reserves last Saturday when our game was called off, which helped him. But he only had probably like 25-30 minutes in his legs today. But when he came on, he was brilliant and got us going. But obviously, Harrison Chatting made his first start for a while. He's been out for ages with his ankle, but he tired towards the end. But so we've got a reserve game here on Wednesday, which them two can go and get a bit more minutes in their legs and hopefully see us in good stead for next weekend.
So having just equalised, John Easterford went up the other end and got himself sent off. Was it a foul that he needed to make to get a result? Yeah,
I think his positioning was a bit on the wrong side of the fella, but with the wind again, they keep going back to the wind, but he's obviously, the ball's bounced and he's just sort of swizzled over his head, and the bloke's got in, and at the end of the day, John's experienced enough. He's took one for the team there, but he'd probably be a bit gutted about his positional play in the move, but no, he used his brain and took one for the team. But I think obviously with a professional foul, it's only a one-game ban, but he's going to miss Margate at home, and John's a big player for us, so that's a negative again today. But yeah, no, I got no qualms with it. It was a sending off, but he had to do it.
So it's another game unbeaten, which, as you said, we are delighted with. But how important is it, though, to try and pick up 3 points when you're playing at home against a team below you as well? Yeah,
well, you're better off losing 2 games and winning 1, obviously, out of 3, and because obviously you get 3 points on the board. But I just think that for where we was 2 months ago, we've definitely obviously turned the corner, but it's a tough league, this league, and it's unforgiving, and you've got to be at it for 90 minutes, and if you switch off, and it costs you, and it cost us today just before half time, but we had enough about us to get back into the game. For our poor, we was second half, but we battled so well first half, but for our poor, we was second half, we still managed to get the goal and get a point on the ball. So the wind today was just horrendous. I just can't. It's the worst I've seen it for ages down here, and it made it tough for both sides. But if you was a playing supporter, I don't think it was too enjoyable to watch.
We've had a couple of games called off. I haven't played a competitive game for 2 weeks. Does that, when you're playing well, does that disturb the momentum of the team? Yeah,
it was the last thing we needed. We were talking about that in the week. Obviously, where we've been doing all right, we're 7 unbeaten. We just want to keep going and keep going, and then it just feels as though we've had to start again now. And but we can't do nothing about that. We don't have many games called off at our place, but some of the pitches in our league are poor, and that's what you face up against. But we're ahead of our games because of how good our pitch is, and I say there's a lot of teams around us that with games in hand and that, but they've got to get points on the ball. But we're sitting all right where we are, and we're just looking above us now. We just need, but we've got a massive game against Leverett away next week. They've turned the corner. They're doing really well at the moment, but like we say, we went to beat Dulwich away at home 3-0. So on our day we can beat anyone in this league, and we just got to believe in ourselves. But we're 8 games unbeaten in this tough division, so we look forward to the next game, get a good week's training under our belts, and hopefully get 3 points next week.
So as you said, Leverett next week. Are we looking at just maybe one more win just to be 100% safe? Yeah, well, they say in this league you need 50 points, but obviously I think that puts us on 43 now. I think we've got like 10 or 11 games left to play, but listen, I'm not worried about that. We just want to look forward to every game. It's all about performance and picking up points in this league, and so we picked up a point today. Weren't happy with the overall performance, but we move on, and hopefully we can't be as bad as we were second half, and that's the first time we've been as poor as that for a while now, and hopefully we'll move on. But say Harrison will be a bit fitter next week, Dobbo will be a bit fitter next week, Enoch's been out for a couple of weeks with his groin, he'll be a bit fitter next week, so we got through it today, and hopefully we'll all be firing on all cylinders next week. Fantastic, thank you Danny.
Thanks mate.
Nice one.